Hey, what is going on, Leos? Butch Tarot here. I feel all lopsided. I am going to do a general read. Because it's a general read, it may not resonate with everyone. It is for your sun, moon, rising, and your Venus. For all you cross watchers, roles can be reversed. Always feel free to comment down below. I'm going to start this off with an oracle card from the Earth and Bone Oracle. Universe, give us a card for Leo. Ascension, transformation, end of cycle, beginnings. All right. With all that being said, let's get it. Universe, what message do we have? I'm not feeling this deck right now. Sorry, I'm going to change decks. Let's try this one. Anyway, let's get it. Universe, what message do we have for Leos? What do we got for Leos? All right, Leos. So we're starting off. I feel like there's some chaotic energy that for some of you may still be around you, or for others, this may be something you're just coming out of. But I feel like we had a tower moment. I feel like something fell apart. And I feel like with this person, this past person, I just feel like this defeated feeling, like you just couldn't go on anymore with this person. And I feel like it caused, they just didn't appreciate you. And the quickest way to lose a Leo is not appreciate them. And I feel like that's caused a lot of that, chaotic energy. I just feel like things fell apart. But we're not going to spend too much time talking about that because they didn't see it. Sucks to be them. What I do see and what I really want to talk about is I feel like there is someone that is seeing it. I feel like this person, whether you know them or not, I feel like they already know you. And I feel like they've been keeping, their feelings quiet, waiting for that right time. And I feel like that time is now. Like I said, I feel like whatever you were going through or had, whatever came to an end, I feel like this person has waiting around. They were waiting for you. And you were worth the wait. Like I said, with the Eight of Swords, a self-imposed prison, they were keeping their feelings to themselves. But now is the time. I see this person coming forward now with that Three of Wands. That ship coming in, this is their time, and I feel like they're going to fight for this. They're going to fight for you. I mean, with this person, I feel like they've been fantasizing about you. They've been thinking about you. They've been fantasizing about you. We have the Five of Wands willing to fight for this. It's worth fighting for. And the Page of Cups is someone that is like, I feel like that's more of a, they've been dreaming about you. Even when they're awake, they're dreaming about you. They're thinking about you. You have their attention, Leo. You've had their attention. Like I said, whether you know this person or not, they know you. You know, we have the Three of Cups. So this could, for some of you, this could be a friend of yours. This could be someone that you already have a friendship with. This could be a new friend or a friend of a friend, because I do feel, like this person has been talking about you with someone. So it makes sense that it could be a friend of a friend. And the way they talk about you, you know, that's something I really want to emphasize here. Is I feel like this person talks a lot about you, and I feel like they may be talking to someone that you know. But it's how they talk about you behind your back is really important here, because I feel like this person has nothing but good things to say about you. I mean, what I see moving forward here, Leo, is I see new fertility. You know, I see some new fertile ground for love. You know, and that's the thing. Sometimes we don't, when we get out of a relationship, especially, you know, when it doesn't go good, you know, when it doesn't end well, a lot of times we have a hard time seeing the silver lining until we see it, if you know what I mean. Like, sometimes we don't see the bigger picture because we're still stuck in that small moment. But I feel like you're going to see the bigger picture. You know, I feel like the silver lining is that has come to an end, and now you're available for something new. And I mean, I feel like with this something new, it's gonna be something great. Like, I'm getting so much good energy here. I mean, I see a lot of happiness. You know, we have the Sun card as well as the Nine of Cups. So I see a lot of happiness and a lot of fulfillment. I feel like this person is filling up the cups that other person could never fill. You know, sometimes we get stuck in a relationship that we weren't meant to be in, and I feel like that's what that was. That person didn't appreciate you. You know, maybe even took you for granted. But with this person coming in, this is someone that will appreciate you. You know, they'll appreciate the shit out of you. I mean, like I said, they've already been dreaming about you. They've been thinking about you, and now they have the opportunity to, you know, tell you all about it. And they're going to take their chance. I mean, we got the King of Wands, that Leo energy. We have the Queen of Swords. Yeah, you know, this person isn't going to hesitate. They've been waiting long enough. You know, this person wants to grab you and hold on. And I feel like being honest and direct about how they feel is going to be the best way for them to do that. You know, and I feel like there is, you know, with this person, I do feel like a very honest energy. I don't feel like they're going to bullshit you. You know, because this person, unlike the last, this person doesn't want to screw up their opportunity. They don't want to, you know, they see what you are. They see what you are. They see, you know, the potential that you have together. You know, they've been waiting for this moment. They're not going to screw it up. Like I said, this is someone that's looking for something real. You know, like I said with that Empress, I mean, this is new ground for love. You know, this is a brand new start. And like I said, this person, they've been thinking about you longer than you realize. You know, they know what they want in life, and they know what they want from you. You know, like I said, this is a very balanced energy with this person. You know, very confident, very sure of themselves, but also not overly, you know, someone that's sure of themselves, that has confidence, but isn't cocky about it. You know what I mean? Some people that are overconfident, they just come on too strong. Like this person, I don't feel like that energy. I feel like there's a very balanced energy. I feel like this person, you know, you're going to have a lot of fun with this person. You know, it's not going to be all work and no play with this person. This is going to be someone that's going to want to do things with you, take you out and experience things with you, show you things. But like I said, it's a very balanced energy. It's not just all passion. I mean, I feel like this person has an emotional side as well. You know, they're passionate, You know, they're fiery, but they're also affectionate and warm. You know, it's a very balanced energy, and like with that Knight of Wands, that Sagittarius energy, I feel like I said, this person was waiting for the right moment. The right moment is now. You know, we have new love here. You know, and it's a fresh new start, like I said before. It's not like, I don't think it's like anything you've ever felt before. You know, having someone that truly appreciates you, and someone that isn't afraid to tell you that they appreciate you. You know, when you're looking good, they're not afraid to tell you you're looking good. Like I said before, they're bragging about you to their friends. They're talking about you when you're not around. I mean, you got their attention. Now they want yours. You know, now they're fighting for it. Like I said, I mean, this is not like anyone you've ever met before. So it's a breath of fresh air. If not anything else, it's a breath of fresh air with that Six of Cups in reverse. This is not like anyone you've ever met before. And like I said, when this person comes toward you, they're all in. You know, they want to pet the lion. They're not afraid. Like I said, they're confident, but, you know, that's just part of who they are. You know, when they want something, they want something. They go after it. Like I said, they were waiting patiently, but now they're here to seize the moment. You know, with that Chariot wanting to move forward. That Chariot is that Cancer energy. It's a very loyal energy as well. It's someone that's loyal to you. You know, someone that, I mean, I don't feel like this person necessarily feels this way very often, if ever, because I feel like this is something that's been really taking up this person's time. And that's one thing they will give you. They'll be very generous with their time with you. You know, and I feel like I said, even though they're coming at you, even though, like I said, they're going after what they want, I mean, I do feel like that it's important for them to establish trust with you. You know, they're doing this right. Even though they want to grab you and hold on, I mean, I feel like they're going to take their time and do this right. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if this person's already planned out, you know, your first date or maybe your first couple dates, you know, planned out where they want to take you, or, you know, things they want to show you. You know, and like I said, because I feel like they do have some sort of idea of who you already are. Like, I mean, I feel like this person already knows you. I feel like they've kind of gotten to know your likes and dislikes, and I feel like that's going to play into this as well. I mean, they've taken a lot of time to get to know you, and they want to spend even more time to get to know you a lot better. One thing I see, like I said, it's very, very straightforward. You know, with the Queen of Swords, I love the Queen of Swords. Love it. It's that blunt energy. It's that no bullshit, no playing games, just straight to it. You know? And I feel like that's exactly what this person is. They're straight to it. They're a straight shooter. What you see is what you get. Like I said, for some of you, this past relationship may be something that ended quite recently, and this person's been waiting for their opportunity, but they're not going to wait too long. I mean, they see you, and they know if they don't fight for you, that other people will. I mean, this person's obviously seen something that other person didn't see. That's why we didn't spend a lot of time talking with that person, because, you know what I mean? Forget them. You know, sometimes at the end of a relationship, sometimes even when it's not a great relationship, sometimes it's hard to make your way through, because you are losing something. Sometimes it's not until the end that we really see that it's only the beginning, you know, for something real. You know, sometimes we get stuck in these karmic relationships, and, you know, it may be hard to let go, because there had to have been some good time with that person. There had to have been some good memories with that person. And sometimes we hold on to that longer than we should, and it keeps us in relationships longer than we should be in. But like I said, I don't feel... I feel like you're going to see the bigger picture a lot quicker than some people get to. Because they've been waiting for you. With this person, we have Leo, Aries, Sagittarius, lots of fire. We got Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. We got Cancer and Scorpio. It's... Sometimes we don't realize, and I know this sounds a little crazy, but sometimes we don't realize how bad a relationship is until we get into a good one. Like, we don't really realize how truly terrible that past relationship was until we find a good one. And we can't really... The thing is if you've been in a series of bad relationships, even a bad one that's not as bad as the other ones may seem good. It's funny how that works. It's all in comparison. But one thing is sure, when you're in a good relationship, when you're in a good, healthy relationship, where you feel appreciated, you feel loved, respected, and really cherished, you don't think about those bad relationships anymore. And that's one sign that you're in a good relationship. That's one of many signs. But because when you're in a bad relationship, you start comparing it to your other relationships. You're like, well, it's not as bad as them ones. That's kind of a red flag. If you're ever in a relationship and say, this is not as bad as another relationship I was in, or if you have the thought of this could be worse, I don't know about you, but that doesn't sound like a good thing to be saying about a relationship that you're in. It doesn't give me a sense of hope. Now, I mean, some people just don't see us. And it's not necessarily their fault that they don't see us for who we are, or they don't see our value. It's like I always say to people, know your worth, and nobody will ever be able to shortchange you unless you allow them to. And a lot of people, we don't know our own worth. We are not self-aware of who we really are and what we really deserve, because there's so many people out there that I've met in my lifetime that deserve better. But it's so hard. Like, one of my best friend, his mom and his dad's got to be the most narcissistic person I've probably ever met in my life. And I don't like to say bad things about people, but I really come up short when I'm thinking about good things. I could say good things about him. He is a hard worker. Somehow he's always kept a job, and he's good at his job. So I like to say something good. But, a lot of it is his upbringing, because the stories he's told us about his upbringing, I'm surprised he's even a functional human being, because he had some bad stories. But we all have bad shit that happens to us, some way worse than others. But we can't allow that shit to seep into our life. Like, he never had a good father, and, he really wasn't a good father to my best friend and his brother. You're supposed to learn from that. Like me, myself, my dad wasn't a loving dad. He always put a roof over my head. And, he was really strict. He's a military dad. Just wasn't a loving person. Just didn't show love. He provided me meals. He put a roof over my head. And that's what a dad should do. That's part of the job. But the other part of the job, my dad failed at. But like I said, in the end of the day, I feel like my dad was a fair dad. But that's one thing with my kids, is I always said I'd never be that way. I tell my kids I love them every day, sometimes multiple times a day. And I sit down and talk and I listen to my kids. And it's something my dad never did. My dad was just not that person. But anyway, to get back to my friend's dad, he he was a heavy drinker and a mean drunk. Very quiet when he wasn't drinking. I actually feel like I didn't see him that often not drinking, but like usually he get off work and he'd start drinking. Like he on the way home he'd be drinking and driving. But my friend's mother was the sweetest woman ever, the sweetest woman, and he treated her horrible. Like she had a job too, and then she was expected to come home, keep the house clean, make food for him, you know, do everything. Like when he came home from his job, that was the end of his day of anything he had to do. I mean, she would take out the garbage and everything. And I was just thinking, like, she deserves so much better. And I never got it. Same as Rose's grandmother. Her grandfather, when he was sober, was a really nice man, but when he was drunk, he was a very belligerent, mean person. And her grandmother is like a sweetheart. But, she. I feel like some people feel like they can fix people and they go all in. I don't think that's your job. It's okay if you feel like you're making progress and somebody needs your help and you want to help them, but if they're not accepting your help, there's got to be a point when you realize your happiness is paramount. If you're not happy with that person and that person is failing you at every turn, we start to reevaluate. And I know back in the day, a lot of people, when they got married, it was for life. And I believe that should still be the case. I feel like a lot of times we jump into marriage without thinking about it. I mean, I guess I can't really say anything. I've been with Rose for 16 years and we're not married yet. So, I mean, I'm slow rolling it, but, you know, sometimes I just, I see so many people in bad relationships and I just, like, with my best friend, his mother, she's the sweetest lady ever. I don't know how she puts up with him. And I feel like that's the only way she could put up with him because she's too sweet. She's too nice. She's loving. She's, and like my best friend, he always says if it wasn't for her, he doesn't know what kind of person he would be because she taught him love. She taught him, patience. And she always listened, even to me. I'm just his best friend. And when I went over there and I had problems, she was the type of person that would get your food and then she would get out your problem. She would get you to talk about it. And sometimes that's all it took, is just an ear. And I feel so bad because I know that she could have found someone that, respected that and not took advantage of it. But like I said, the relevance to this read is sometimes people have us or people are in relationships with us that don't deserve us. And, she must hold on to the good memories. There's the only way I can figure it. She holds on to the good memories. And sometimes that's where karmic relationships, outlast what they should, is because we hold on to memories of someone that maybe they're really not, Like I remember she would talk about good times with them, and it always seemed like when it was like an abundance of money, like tax time when you got extra money, or you got a raise, or it always just seemed like in paydays and stuff. It always seemed like that's when he was the happiest. I don't know. I might be just talking to my ass. Be good. Take care. Stay safe.